Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel, and today we are going to be talking about an interesting pattern that I have seen here just in the last week. And this is just kind of a random observation going about my regular research on stories and things to bring to you guys, and just kind of a way to confirm a lot of what we talk about here on the channel. Now, as you know, I do coverage and reviews of products, and I always tell everyone, consult your physician before you try any products that I have here on the channel, because your medical doctor knows your history, he knows your drug interactions, they know your allergies, people that have had recent surgeries, transplants, these sorts of things happen day to day. So when Fauci and the government says, go and get your COVID shot, you should, I think, in my opinion, the responsible thing to do is to have people consult a professional physician instead of just this blanket idea that anyone and everyone should just rush out and get the vaccination. Now, I am not an anti-vaxxer. I am not here to encourage, discourage anyone from seeking or trying to do what is right for them. If you want to wear a mask, if you want to wear goggles, if you want to wear gloves, if you want to get vaccinated, by all means, protect yourself. Do what is important to you and your safety and the safety of your family. This video is going to serve to illustrate what we have talked about here on this channel, how the mainstream media works alongside the Democrats and tech giants, how they all work together. And it's interesting because it goes back to the Molly Ball article that we talk about here often, in which a cabal of people work together to fortify an election for a desired outcome. So we have social media leverage happening right now because social media is so huge and so influential that the Democrats, the mainstream media, activists, whomever, all have to work together to get everybody on the same page. And here I want to illustrate that. So here, out of WSB Channel 2 Atlanta, get the vaccine. 28-year-old Atlanta man who died of COVID-19 has heartbreaking last message. That's very sad. It is unfortunate that this happened to this individual, but it is not unusual for the media to cherry pick news articles and situations to promote an agenda. That's what's sad. The fact that this individual died is sad. The fact that the media is pushing this agenda is equally as sad. Now, you may be saying to yourself, okay, well, what are the examples? Okay, here's one. This is just a few that I picked. This is one out of Atlanta, here where I live, and here's another. He put off getting vaccinated. Now he's in the ICU pleading for others to avoid his mistake. I messed up. So here you have the initial article that I read earlier this week, this Travis Campbell individual, who was on his deathbed and saying if he had only gotten the vaccine. Here we have from The Guardian, it's too late. U.S. doctors say dying patient begged for COVID vaccine. So we're continuing with this narrative. We're continuing with this push because if Joe Biden can't get the numbers that he wants, they're going to continue to push. I'm not done yet. Man who died from COVID told nurses he wished he had been vaccinated. Now, I checked each one of these articles. These are not the same people. They're not the same stories, or they're not the same stories about the same people. These are all different people in different parts of the United States and sometimes parts of the world. And you see, every one of these articles lead the same. Another one. I'm sorry, but it's too late. Doctors say dying COVID patient asked for vaccine before intubation. Again, I checked each one of these articles to make sure they're not the same individual person. They're not. They're all different individuals. But do you not find it interesting that out of each of these, now you can do a Google search on this topic. For example, dying patients suggesting people get vaccinated, or dying patients requesting vaccination, and you will get a whole host of articles. And this is also affecting Joe Biden's approval. You have to remember, too, that Joe Biden is the surrogate selected president of the United States, as we talked about with the Molly Ball article, and his approval is at 50% right now. Of course, the mainstream media can always adjust his approval if they want to, because it isn't statistics that lie. It's maybe the people who do the statistics that do, or they do it in such a way to get a desired result. And that's what we're seeing here, perhaps with this COVID push. The other thing that I have in the back of my mind flowing as we see the Delta variant and even the Epsilon variant is H.R. 1, or the For the People Act, which introduces a bill in the United States Congress to expand voting rights. Now, the wording is very clever. Basically, what they're trying to say here is that the Democrats want to adopt the changes that were made in 2019 that allowed for a dispersal, a publisher's clearinghouse dispersal of mail-in ballots out to people to vote, kind of like an on-demand like-dislike system of voting in our country, as opposed to having people make a physical effort or a conscious effort to go and vote. So they just want to go to the people. Not to mention the fact that the pandemic, which was just a stroke of luck for the Democrats, a complete stroke of luck that allowed them to leverage that, as Rahm Emanuel likes to say, never let a crisis go to waste. So they leveraged the pandemic as well to do even more of the mail-in ballots, and then even to reduce the security of our election system. So they could be pushing towards Pandemic 2.0 by the midterms next year. So this is from Our World in Data, who keeps track of all the vaccinations. And we see here in the United States, the total doses given is 351 million. People fully vaccinated, 166 million, or nearly 50.6% of Americans. And Joe Biden wants people at least 70. So, just like if you worked in any sort of a business or a company that does sales and does marketing, all the type of number pushing and number crunching, analytics and so forth, if he wants to get to 70%, then the media has to get on board and start getting people actively involved in getting vaccinations. So I want to emphasize again, I don't have anything against individuals who want to get vaccinated. Where I have the problem is when it comes down to peer pressure, bullying, and treating people as second-class citizens who don't get the vaccination. If you guys watched my Friday vlog, you would have seen me talk about the Offspring drummer who can't get the COVID-19 vaccine for medical reasons. So he won't be playing in any upcoming shows. People can't visit him in the studio. He doesn't even hang out with his bandmates, so he's not even going to be on tour. Now, he's got a childhood condition. I'm not sure if I can pronounce it correctly. I think it's called Guillain-Barré syndrome. So he's not able to get the vaccine. Now, you could argue, but that's a very rare case, a very rare situation, a situation where one whole entire individual is not able to get it. But you see what I'm trying to show you here. We have this article, one article showing an individual who isn't able to get the COVID-19 vaccine because of an illness, yet we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different articles. That's just the 5 that I picked. There was probably about 15 that I could have pulled up here, and I checked all the names, I checked all the information. These are all not the same people. Now, I know Ivory Hecker is a bit of a controversial figure because she was fired from Fox News, but she said in a recent interview that when they were doing their media meetings during the day and stuff, they always find things that they want to push or whatever agenda or whatever information that they want to get out to the people. And I can't disagree with her because I can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different articles on the same topic, on the same subject, trying to get people activated to get out there and get the vaccine. And I think we're going to continue to see this sort of peer pressure. We're seeing masks are now having to be used again in local grocery stores. Children on buses have to wear them, at least here in the state of Georgia, although Brian Kemp has not put any sort of mandates out there. He says he's not going to put any mandates out there. But if the media continues with these stories and we continue in this COVID direction, we could be looking at a pandemic 2.0. We could be looking at lockdowns here very soon because we already know that Australia is in lockdown and going through lockdowns. But I just found this fascinating that just on a cursory, basic, simple little search, the mainstream media, different media organizations across the United States are continuing to do these stories as though these particular patients who had nothing better to talk about when they're on their deathbed, like their families and interactions within their families and just the typical things that people experience when they're going through these difficult times, to then just coincidentally, we have these particular stories from the mainstream media as they push this continuing narrative. All right, guys, so that's basically what I wanted to bring to you guys on this Sunday, just to keep an eye out for this, because I just see it as a continuing trending situation. And it's unfortunate that we're having to see this type of peer pressure, this type of propaganda. And I don't like calling it propaganda because, of course, it borders there on the conspiracy. But you guys can see this. All I did was a very basic cursory search, and I was able to come up with just these particular 5. There was much more than this. These are just the 5 that I picked at random, checked to make sure that they weren't all matching people, weren't all matching names, and so forth, to bring to you guys. So this was very interesting, at least from my perspective as someone who does the research and looks into all this. But I think we're going to continue to see this type of move towards getting as many people vaccinated as possible. As we continue to see Biden's, approval go down, there may be even more desperation from the White House. If you guys haven't already, be sure to check out the various social media links below this video, where you can find me on social media, where I do daily posts, as well as on Alternative Tech. And of course, those of you watching here on YouTube, that would be the channel icon appearing right there on the screen to subscribe, along with notifications. That way you guys will know there's content here on the channel. I want to thank all you guys for the likes, the shares, and the comments, and your continued support. And I will see you guys in the next video.